Is because we assume that why do you have two cysts here? Why do you have two abscess? That's because there must be a hole, and it's growing out of this hole. It's growing these blisters. Let's say it's one blister, but it looks like two. So what do you do then? Mysinan silu ubazinan lay. You bring a thorn, and you pop one of them, and you empty out one. If the other one will then fill up this one, because now there's space for it, for the mucus or whatever, pus to fill it up, then chadi, that's considered one ukshera, because one blister we said wasn't a problem. The Eily, but if it doesn't fill it up, then tartin, then it's two separate ones, and it's a treifa. Okay, there's a discussion in the commentaries here, how close they are, if there's a hair space between them, and all of that. But Amar Rava. Rava says, hey uni yesle l'reya, there's 5 lobes to the lung. We're talking about apa klapi gavra. The face of the animal is facing the butcher. And it's being hung up from the feet. So tlasam yamina, the 3 of them are on the right side. Betarti mismala, and there's 2 on the left. Chaser ayater, if it's missing one or it has an extra one, oichilef, or if they are exchanged, that means one side has, the wrong side has 3, so then it's treifa. Now, Rashi mentions that if there's an extra one, so Rashi says it's considered like it's missing. But we're not going to accept that. If there's an extra one, we're going to say that it's kosher. He says, and I saw my teacher, Rabbi Yaakov, he paskin that it's kosher. If it's missing or if it's exchanged, then we're going to go like Rava and we're going to be strict. Let's see. Hahu yeserta d'asalakami de meremar. There was this extra lobe on the lung that came to meremar. There's meremar here.
Down here.
A meremar, yeah. Is meremar is above Ravina, right under Ravashi. He says, Haviyasiv Ravacha Bava. Ravacha was sitting by the door. Amalei Mayamalach. So when the fellow came out, and the person went in to ask the Shaila to Meremar, so Ravacha says, what did he paskin? So Amalei Achshrei Nalei. He said that it was kosher. Amalei Hadar Eily Kamei. So go back inside and ask him again. He didn't look at it carefully.
Doesn't that sound like chutzpah? He's lucky there was no kpeda over there.
These are the later Amiran.
They didn't have as much kpeda.
Yeah.
Why is it by liver we go down to an olive? And because the person can live with a piece of lung missing, and we do lobectomies to remove lung cancers. So I don't understand why if one of the lobes is missing or something, they should be. It doesn't follow with the liver types.
Because back then there wasn't no lobotomies.
But I'm saying if the animal's liver doesn't render it treif as long as up to an olive is there, why should?
Can a person live with one lung?
Sure.
Yeah. Even without medical treatments.
Oh, that's usually why they end up with one lung, because one is removed because there was tumors in it.
No, but do they have to give him treatments to be able to? No, just one lung.
Yeah. Uh-huh. The only time they get treatments is like a transplant lung, which then they get anti-rejection medicines.
Right. I don't know. If we go according to the opinion that says treifa chaya, that even though it's treifa, it can still live, then we don't have any questions, because we'll say, look, that's the tradition that we have. This is treifa. It doesn't matter if it can live or not live. That's it. But if you say treifa eina chaya, what's the reason why it's treifa? Because it's going to die. Then you have all of these questions, like why is it like this?
I just threw that in, a little left hook. Cause a little hole in the it's a hook to cause a hole in the lungs. Want to give us a breather?
So Amrleh, he says to him, Zil Eim. You want a coffee? Zil Eimalei Laman Diasav Abava. He says, Meremar says to the person that was asking the question, we don't know his name, but he says, go tell the fellow that's sitting by the door, Les Yelchasa Kavasei Derava, the halacha is not like Rava B'Yeseres
It's easy, yeah.
with a different with an added lobe. This had an added lobe. V'hani milei d'kaima b'daridune, but that's only if it's in the daridune, in the row of the lobes, and it's in there, it's positioned properly. Aval beini treifa, but if it's above, if it's by the ribs, pushing against the ribs, and there's an extra lobe there or in the back, so then that would be a treifa. Ahu beini dasalakami deravashi. There was an extra lobe. Beini, it means on the not in the row, and it came in front of Ravashi. Savar Ravashi lemitrafe. Ravashi thought that it should be treifa. Amalei Rav Huna Mar Bar Avia. It's a long name. Rav Huna Mar, it must be Bar Avia. Rav Huna Mar, the son of Avia, said to him, Kol hani chivi braisa hachi yislo. On the side there's a girsa. I see that easy braisa. All the wild goats or the wild animals, they all have this extra lobe. V'karlu tabche, and the butchers call it inunisa devarda. The small, the rows. Inunisa means that it's small and weak.
This tiny little thing.
I don't know why in the Shulchan Aruch it was called the ganav. Maybe because it like sneaks away, it hides. I think
That's what this is.
you don't always see it or something. So this is called the inunisa devarda, this extra lobe that's in the front. Now, v'hani milid mikavoy, that's only if it's from the inside of the lung, from the avalagaba, but if it's on the back of the lungs, afilu ketar fadasa, even if it's so tiny that it's like the leaf of a hadath, like a myrtle branch, that's considered a treifa. Okay, so we now learned that there's one extra lobe that's on the front. Very interesting discussion in Rashi. It's worthwhile to mention. What's going to be if that lobe is missing? If this inunisa devarda is missing? Rashi says it's kosher because all we did here is we said if it has it, it's not considered an extra one. Now, what happens if one of the lobes on the side is missing? Can we add this inunisa devarda to replace it? He says he doesn't think so because it's not in the right place. What happens if you have two inunisa devardas? He says this is a machlekes. His teacher told him that there was a machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda bar Rabbi Baruch and his friends. He didn't explain. He didn't say his opinion, but he says Rashi says to me it appears that it should be treifa because that's not the way it's supposed to be. And there's other discussions that some say because they always have it, so the Gemara was assuming that it was there anyway. So when here we say if there's an extra one, it's not a problem. So they were talking about that there are two, because there's always one there, and the extra one doesn't matter. So there's different opinions about that. Amar Rafa. Hi Reya Didamya L'Ufta. I'm sorry, we're running late. Rafram says, if you have a lung that's similar to a block, it's a treifa, piece of wood. Now, ikadamri b'chazusa, some say that's its appearance. It looks like a block. Maybe it's it could be in that it doesn't have the lobes. It could be, we'll see. The appearance. Ikadamri begishta, some say that it feels hard. Ikadamri denaficha, some say that it's swollen or it's more whitish. Vikadamri depriza, and some say that it's light, like a light piece of wood. Vikadamri deshi, and some say that it's smooth, less bechitucha deune, that it doesn't have the difference in the lobes. Amar Rava. So all of those would be treifa that we said. Damya le'ufta, similar to a block of wood. Kuchla, let's say it's like blue, like the sky. Like Rashi, the Marab Ranchberg, Betzal Ranchberg, he was a student of the Noda B'Yehuda. There's a commentary on the side. He writes blue. It looks like the sky. That's ksheira. Kediyusa, but however, if it's dark, like an ink, then that's a treifa. Dam Rab Chanina shachar adam hu ela shalaka. Rab Chanina says regarding the nida blood that if it's red, it's considered blood. If it's black, it's also considered blood. But it's just that it turns black, it changed colors. But it's still considered red. Yeraika, if it's green, that's ksheira. Midar Rab Nassan, like Rab Nassan says. Aduma, if it's red, it's ksheira midar Rab Nassan, like Rab Nassan says. We're going to explain what Rab Nassan's opinion. Easy Gemara here. The Tanya was taught in a Bais, Rab Nassan Eimer. Rab Nassan says, Pam achas halachti lekrachi ayam. One time I went to the islands. Basi isha achas lefanai. A woman came to me, Shemala bena Risha umeis. She circumcised her first son and he died. Sheni, the second son, umeis, he also died. Shlishi, the third son, Haviyasi lefanai. They brought to me. Re'isav shayedem. I saw his skin was red. Amarta labiti. Said to her, my daughter, Hamtini layad shiyivla baydamai. Wait until the blood gets absorbed in him. Hamtina lay. They waited. Umala, they gave him a circumcision after that. V'chaya, and he lived by Yakarnes in Nasan Abavli al Shmi, and they named him Nasan Abavli, just like I'm called. Shuv pamachas halachti lemedinas Kaputkia. There was one time I went to the country of Kaputkia. Basi isha lefanai shemala ben arisha umeis sheni umeis. She circumcised her first son and he died. The second son and he died. Shlishi evasa lefanai. The third son they brought to me. Risa shaya yarak. I see that he was green. Hitzatzti bay. I looked at him. V'leya bay dam bris. There was no blood in the circumcision area. Amarti lai biti amtina lai chipa bay dami. Wait until the blood gets absorbed. Hamtina lai. They waited for him. Umalai say, and they gave him a circumcision. V'chaya, and he lived. By Yakarnes in Nasan Abavli al Shmi, and they called him Nasan Abavli. My name Nasan. Reb Nasan was the friend of Reb Meir. That story, if we have time, we'll say it. But Amar of Kana. Kana says, let's say the lung looks like a kavda, looks like a liver. That's kshera.
I didn't quite understand. So what did this whole story have to do?
Oh, he wanted to say that you can live with being green and being red. If you just wait, it'll heal.
It's the lung.
By the lung. And we compare it to the baby then. Rav Kana says, a liver, the lung that looks like a liver is kosher. Kibisra, but if it looks like meat, that's treifa. The simanach, and to remember this, basar basada treifa. Basar in the field is treif. That means if the lung looks like meat, it's treif. Amar of Sama Breda Rava, Hay Rea de Damya Kikishusa. This lung that looks like daughter. This is like this growth. That's the next one. Kumarika would be saffron, but the Kikishusa is this plant that lives off other parasitic plant. It doesn't have leaves, but it's like also yellowish or orangish. Kumarika is saffron, that's yellowish. Kubayasa. Ukagoin beyasa, or similar to an egg, the egg yolk. That's treifa. Eily yeruka de ksheira echidami. What is considered the green that's kosher? Kikarti. It's green like leeks. Amar Avina. Otum bereya. If there's a something blocked in the lung. How do they translate autumn? It's like a
sealed area.
Sealed area. What is it?
Clogged.
Mycena sakina. You can bring a knife, a karina lay, and you open it up. You cut it open. Yisbe mugla. If there's a mucus in there, vade machmas muglahu ksheira. In other words, it's not blowing up. They say, oh, it's okay. It's congested, and it's kosher. Vilay masfina legadfa. But if it doesn't, if there is no mucus there, then you have to take a feather, a raika or spit. Imevatzis ksheira. If it flutters, then it's kosher. Vilay, then it's treifa. If it doesn't flutter,
kosher if it flutters?
Because the air is getting through a little bit, and it would heal. Amar Rabbi Yosef, krum shalom achmas makabrei ein a krum. Rabbi Yosef says if a membrane grows, that's not considered if it's a scar tissue, that doesn't count. It's not considered healed. Amar Rabbi Yosef hayreya da avsha. Back to what we said before. This lung that whistles. If we know where it whistles, you put we learned this before, you put on it a feather, a gila, or a, what do we say gila was? A straw. Or a raika, where is this? A raika, or spit. If it flutters, then it's treif, because there's a hole. If it doesn't flutter, then it's kshera. If you don't know where it is, Maisi Meshichusa de Maya Pshuri, you bring this basin, or Meshichli it says, a basin of lukewarm water, Mesvin Lebegava, you put it inside. Bechamimi la, you don't use warm water, the kvitzi, because it's going to make it shrivel and it's going to close the hole. Bekriri, if it's cold water that you can't use, you can't use that to metarshi because it makes it brittle. You use it in lukewarm. Imabatzis a treifa. If it flutters, then it's a treifa viloi. If not, then it's ksheira. Why? Tata inkiv. The lower membrane is the inner membrane has a hole. Ilo lo inkiv, but the outer membrane doesn't. V'haida avsha, and this that it's whistling is zika de beni beni hu. That's because the air is going between them. Okay.
So, we're caught up at the end of this comment.